Hey there, comic book fans. How are you doing tonight? I just did this entire video with the mute button on the mic. I looked down. There's a little button here. Here's my mic. See that red button? If you press it, it blinks and mutes the mic. I just did the whole video with the mute button on. So let's do it again where you can hear me. Let's start out by showing you my cover of the week that I have on top of my printer in my museum spot. Hate number 24. There's Buddy's girlfriend, whose name I can't remember. And there's her telling her psychiatrist all the stuff that happened to her during the series. I think this only went to 25 or 26. I haven't seen this cover. I enjoyed looking at this cover all week because I haven't seen it in so long. I don't pull out issue 24 that much, so it was fun to pull it out and look at. And then we've got comic shop news. Batman versus Bigby, Wolf in Gotham. And now I figured it out. I figured it out while looking at it before. Bigby, because it says Bill Willingham is back. Bigby is obviously a character from his Fables. I was wondering why Batman versus Bigby, he didn't have a scary name like all the other Batman villains, because he's not a Batman villain. He's a Fables guy. I guess he's a werewolf in Fables. Now a lot of this is the numbers you can order from. And there's a Marvel team-up from my Marvel team-up era in the 70s. Some of my favorite team-up issues in that. I think some John Byrne stuff, some Sal Buscema. I love, one of my favorite runs from Team Up is like issue like 39 to 53 with the trial of the Wraith at the end and all sorts of time travel stuff. And then after that, there was a lot of good Claremont and Byrne issues of Marvel Team Up. That's probably my favorite era, but like I think it starts with Spider-Man and the Human Torch and ends with the trial of the Wraith, like with Iron Man. That run is like a quintessential team-up run to me. And then, got 7 comics. I picked 2 up off the shelf. The other 5 were on my pull list, and this is the first one I picked up off the shelf. And it's a $6 comic. Feels heavy, though. Feels about 40 pages. But $6 is a lot for a first issue. But I liked that cover. I have zero idea what the comic is about. I liked the cover, and I liked the art inside. Not that page particularly. There's better ones. Let's see. There we go. There's a fancier page. And you know, is that Hot Stuff, the Little Devil? But $6 is a bit much for a comic, but at least it's an indie. Indie comics should cost more than Marvel and DC comics. So when Marvel, paying $6 for a Marvel or DC comic is kind of crazy to me because they shouldn't be that much. And then the other one I bought is a $5 comic, so I got $11. I paid $11 for 2 comics, but man, this week I could have bought another 5 or 6 comics this week. There was so much stuff that caught my eye. And it was the Nick Bradshaw art on this that caught my eye. Bermuda. I know his work, but I don't know if I ever bought any Nick Bradshaw stuff. But some nice Art Adams-ish Art Adams, I don't know, cross with Joe Madureira kind of artwork. Where's that? There we go. There's that giant chameleon. Gives him a chance to draw all those scales. But I'm looking forward to reading that one. Who's the writer? John Layman. Don't know who that is, but we'll see that. And then this should have been out a couple of weeks ago, but my shop got shorted. Howard Chaykin's Hey Kid Comics #3. Look at the Tarantulas and the Cosmos Quartet on the back. Obviously Spider-Man and Fantastic Four. This is the one that's about comic book history, but not really. It's not the real people. He's using fake names for everyone, but it's kind of the spirit of comic book history. Gives you a little key in the front. And GW is Entertaining Comics, EC Comics. Verve is Marvel. Yankee Comics is DC. And, Bob Rose is the Stan Lee stand-in. I don't know who all the stand-ins are. Some people are blends of people, but he's trying to give you the flavor of comics history, if not the exact history. So it's kind of, and he gives you some history of some fans in there. That's kind of interesting too. He includes the fans in the history and what they were doing. Let's see, what else do we got here? Homesick Pilots #7. Kind of interesting cover. She's got a strange look on her face. Red eyes, her mouth open slightly. And there's a Gundam down there. They're trying to make a ghost-powered Gundam suit. The first story arc was kind of a horror story arc about this punk band in the early 90s getting caught up with this haunted house that killed a whole bunch of them and sent these other ones out on missions, and then it took a sci-fi turn where now they've got these people working, freelancing for the government, the government is trying to weaponize ghosts. And they're trying to make this ghost Gundam suit. Because what it was in the first story, like the ghost could haunt a house and make the house kind of move. So they're trying to do that now. It's kind of nutty the turn it took. But hey, no post-apocalyptic comics this week, but a time travel comic or two. Time Before Time. This one is about time travel, and this guy who runs a time machine for this business or something got his time machine hijacked, and now he's on the run. And there's also, they got their time machine from the future, this whatever time this is, which is our future. And there's like two groups of time travelers from different time periods who are kind of fighting with each other for dominance in time travel. It gets confusing. And there's I'm just looking at the art here, which is very Mike Mignola-ish, but looks less detailed than it did. I don't remember all these blank walls in the last couple of issues as I look through this. A lot of blank walls. Very Mike Mignola-ish. Enjoyed the first two issues. First issue was a beautiful setup issue. They really did a nice job. But sometimes with setup issues, you don't know if they're going to come through after the setup. But they really did with the second issue. I liked it a lot. Now we'll just have to see what they do with the third. Then let's see. The last one I got this week is Radiant Black, issue #6. And the first thing I noticed when I flipped through this before was it's got a new artist. I don't know what that's all about. An artist who looks like this is being colored right from pencils. I don't know why there's a new artist on issue 6. I think I liked the other artist better too. The other artist was drawing looked more like Invincible kind of. This has got a little more manga-ish, big-eyed look to it. But this one is about a guy who gets a superpowered suit out of nowhere. Turns out some giant alien guy gave it to him, and they're going to have to fight this other guy to save Earth. And then he had his Power Ranger buddies. They said in the beginning that this was influenced by Power Rangers, and you can tell last issue, 2 or 3 other people in the suits, Earthlings, showed up and were like, "Hey, I guess we're supposed to fight the villain," and that's where last issue ended off. But this issue looks like it takes place at a different time. So we'll have to see what's going on with this story now. But I enjoyed the first 5. We'll see how 6 is. Now let me show you a little artwork back here. What have I been delving a lot into color. Oh, and another thing. I'm thinking about starting a Patreon. And what I want to do is, show you my work on Patreon and also put together a digital magazine of my work. maybe once a month have a digital magazine come out with a bunch of stuff in it. That's what I'm thinking about doing. I'll let you know. I want to try and get it, the first volume, done by the end of the summer. We'll see. Hopefully I can get it out monthly once I get the basic design done. But I have stuff like this in it. This is my colored ink method. My colored ink technique I've been working on. Kind of like the way this one came out finally. Lots of different, it's all brush and different colored inks. I like the big face approach. I might have to make a big ink drawing this way. We'll see if I can do that. That'll be a challenge. Then I used a lot of color a lot of complex color in these two Dreams of Things covers too. And that's just lots and lots of color. This one kind of is like a museum space. These guys are all kind of walking around the museum, and I can't figure out if these are windows or paintings, but it's sort of a big Gothic cathedral space that they're walking in. Maybe some spaceport somewhere, because it's definitely sci-fi down the bottom, but kind of grounded up there. So and both of these, there's a lot of color in them that took a lot of time to figure out, more so than some of my more simpler images where the color is simple. Like this right here, there's a lot of different colors in all those parts that sometimes the color comes real easy, sometimes it takes a while, and both of these took a while. But I like the way both of them came out. I think I nailed it in the end. That's always good. So there you go. Some comics, a little bit of art, and sound. Isn't that great? Sound.